Did I do the belt buckle? I should get it straight. Okay.
Here we go.
Buckle up, or yeah, it's good right here.
2.
Hey, welcome to OnSet. Hold on, was that the Krusty the Clown? I am Daniel Norton. Here today with kids. Dave's in the house. Woo! Seth over there in the Mighty Mix. And we're going to... There used to be an audience, remember that? No, you're an audience online, I guess. So we're going to do some hard light and soft light. You know, when we're talking about lighting things, that's one of the first things people talk about is hard and soft. So we're going to talk about a little bit why we might use one or the other. And we'll have a little fun taking some pictures, right? Why not? That's what we like to do. So let's get some definitions out of the way because that's always the good thing to do. You will be tested on this at the end. So essentially when you're talking about hard and soft, you are referring to the shadow transition. So a hard light, when you are using a hard light source, we'll cut that part in post, right? When we're using a hard light, our shadow transition will be abrupt and hard, right? More or less a straight line. When using a soft light, it will be gradual. And there's lots of stuff in between, right? You've got like a super hard light that's gonna have a line. You got soft where you can barely see it change at all. And then you got stuff in the middle, and we're gonna play around with that. Now, what makes a light basically do this is the size of it relative to the subject. So if I'm shooting something tiny, like let's say this watch, and I have a light that's this big, and I put it real close, it's going to be large, even though a light this big shooting this far away on cadence is going to be small. So hard there, soft here, right? So a light by itself is not necessarily hard or soft. It's kind of relative to what you're going to do with it. So that's how we're going to play around. We're going to assume that what you're doing, because that's what I'm doing, is portraiture. So when we're talking about light sources, keep in mind that's kind of what I'm referring to. If you're photographing something much larger or much smaller, these light sources might not be exactly the same for you. So there. I will attempt to name all the equipment I'm using as I go, but I will probably forget to do that after I do it the first time. So I'm going to start off with just a basic light, a small light source. It's going to be hard because it's going to be small, right? So let's start with this here. This is a ProPhoto B10, which is a flash. I'm going to use flash because it will allow us to control the space. We've talked about this before, like in my basic and advanced flash classes, which I think were the last two that I did. With this flash, we're going to be able to get the space dark, which means all the light that we're going to be seeing in our shot will be light that we're creating. That's going to be a lot easier when we're teaching. You can mix light, and I talk about that in those other videos. So this is in my B group. I can tell that because I put a piece of tape on it because I can never remember, so I put tape. So tape is your friend. These lights are controlled via a remote, which I have on top of my camera, which is a Nikon Z6ii with a 24-70 lens. So I'm going to switch to my B group. I'm going to turn off the other groups because I have some other lights out here. And yeah, let's do this. So let's take a shot. So if we have cadence here and we want to make a photo of her, we can take our light source. Let's say this B10. We can point it at her, you know, generally. I'm pretty sure that there was this painter that had a light just like this. Okay, so before we do this, I'm going to turn off my flash control. And I'm going to set up my camera so that none of the light in the space affects my shot. This way, like I said, we know what we got going on. I'm going to set my ISO at 100, which is the lowest within its normal range. I'm going to set my shutter speed at 200, which is the maximum sync speed of this camera. And as far as my f-stop or aperture, I'm just going to kind of, it's a mirrorless camera, I'm just going to kind of look through and I'm going to adjust until it looks dark to me. Let's see. We're going to go with, let's say, 6.3. All right. And we're going to make a shot. Now, we're going to look, I have capture one over here. We're going to take a peek. I can see, I see one little sequin right there. Oh, no, that was a dot on my screen. That was dust. You guys didn't see that. All right. Okay, I'm going to go over to my adjustments. I'm going to grab my exposure slider, and I'll drag it over until I see her. Looks like we're about a little over 2 stops underexposed. So that's good, right? That means that that's basically our shadow exposure, right? So if we want to adjust in post, if we need to bring the shadows up, we've got like almost a little over 2 stops before we start pulling in this ugly available light into our shadows. So now I'm going to turn on my remote. I'm going to use something called TTL, which means through the lens metering. It's going to use the meter in the camera to talk to the remote, which then talks to the flash, which then talks to the remote, which then talks to the camera. And somehow you get a picture. Okay, this is going to be a hard light source, so we should expect well, that looks pretty nice. Okay, thanks for watching, guys. We'll be back next week with, okay, so we've got this hard light. Now, we can see, if we look at this shadow transition here, that it's very abrupt, right? We can see it down here as well, right? Abrupt shadow transition. You can see shadows from her eyelashes. Now, what you see here isn't really like a softer shadow transition. What you're seeing is kind of a halo. Sometimes people will see that and go, that's soft, but it's not. It has to do with the halo wrapping around. So what we've got here is hard light. Now, I start with hard light whenever I do this because I think that people, especially when they're first learning, they learn because they read that book that came out in 1974 and then is repeated by many people after, that you have to have soft light to make a portrait, but clearly that's pretty nice, right? It really depends on who you're photographing, what you want it to look like, all this other jazz. Now, here's the thing. What I find a lot of times is somebody will think, well, no, that light is not hard because her face is fully lit. Okay, that is called fall off. Sometimes if you take a soft light and you bring it in nice and close, you might have shadow on one side of the face. That doesn't mean it's a hard light, it just means it's a soft light that's falling off. So we're going to talk a little bit about that as we go, but I just want to make that clear because a lot of times people will look at this and go, that's not hard, I can see all the light on her face. I can see all the detail on her face. So there you go, right? Hard light, done. Whew, that didn't take very long, did it? All right. Now we have a word from our sponsor. Okay, so if we want to make our light softer, we need to make it bigger. Now I could move it in closer to her, but seeing that this is about 3 inches, that's never going to be a soft light, right? But for our purposes, for this head and shoulder portrait, because it's very small compared to a head and shoulder of an average person. So we need to make our light source larger by putting something in between. This is a silk. If I take this, I'm going to put it on this side. If I take this silk and I put it between the light source and cadence, this now becomes the light source. This is big, relatively speaking, right? This is 4 by 4. Cadence head is smaller than 4 feet by 4 feet. I can tell you that for sure. Now, one common mistake people will make here is they'll be like, well, I gotta make it closer, so I'll go like this. If I put this real close to the silk, I'll turn the modeling light on, you can see that it's only lighting a portion of the silk, which means that my light source, can't see it? Okay, you'll have to believe me. My light source is pretty, there we go, better? Okay. You can see that only this much is really lit up. I mean, yes, it spreads a little bit here, but basically my light source is not very big. If I back this up, now that might seem counterproductive, right? Because now I'm moving it further away, but now it's filling all of this silk, including, it's even going past it in the wall back there. So I'm going to fill the silk up as much as I can. Okay, thank you, Dave and Seth. I'm probably going to turn that up as well. Okay, now, I'm going to use TTL again. I'm going to use TTL again. We'll just cut that. All right. I don't know what camera to look at anymore. Okay. Okay. TTL makes people laugh. Okay, so let's try to get a similar shot that we can, even though I like that shot. All right, here we go. Okay. Now, what we've got here is soft light, okay? Look at the shadow transition here by her nose. Oops. let's get one that's in focus. Wasn't it a Woody Allen movie where the guy was out of focus? Do you know what I'm talking about? There was a guy, I believe it was a Woody Allen movie where one of the guys was out of focus. Well, he wasn't out of focus, he was soft. Which is basically the same thing. All right, so, anyways. Somebody must know that movie online, they can tell me. All right, so, if we look at these two images, we can see that shadow transition is very delicate, right? Look at the shadow under her neck here, look at it under here. You barely even see it with this much, much larger light source. With this shadow here that's right by her nose, right? Look at how much softer it is over here. All this is softer, and just by the nature of it, because the light is so much larger and wrapping around her body, we don't even really see very much the light on the background, the shadow. It is back here a little bit down here. You can see this area is a little bit darker. Like if we compare that to that, right? See the numbers at the top going down? That's because it's darker. Okay, so there's still a shadow here. There's a shadow, not another shadow. So we can see this is soft, right? Both are nice, both have different points. This is powerful, this is edgy and fashiony and this and that. This is soft and delicate and natural. Natural? It's natural. Although natural is typically pretty hard, so I don't know why people say natural, but you know. You look very natural. Unlike those unnatural subjects. Okay. Questions, thoughts, concerns? Nothing? We're good? All right, that's pretty straightforward. Now, that's a pretty extreme example. You don't have to go quite this large to go soft, though. We can just make the light large-ish relative to our subject. One of my favorite light sources, okay, let's admit it, this is my favorite light source, is this right here. This is a Chimera, well, it's a Photo B10, but it's a Chimera extra small, softbox, light bank, made in the basement somewhere in Colorado. Well, maybe not a basement, it might have been in a front room. This light is, if we look at it, it's bigger than the average person's head. I don't want to say it's bigger than anybody's head because, you know, heads vary in size. But this will be a good tool for us to use to play around with the idea of moving the light to create hard or soft. If we, this is in my A group, by the way, so I'm going to take the B light and I'm going to...
Deconstructing Harry, the name of the film.
Deconstructing Harry. Thank you. Was it Woody Allen or no? They don't say. Okay. Come this way a little bit. It just feels very Woody Allen to have somebody that's out of focus. Okay, so. Okay. Not that I'm a big film person. I probably don't know what I'm talking about. All right, so. This is 2 feet-ish by 1.5-ish. So if we put it relatively close to cadence, we can see it lines up more or less with this, you know, head and shoulder of her. If we put it, I'll keep it kind of at an angle over here, so we'll get that kind of nice, you know, nice shadow so you guys can see the transition. What we want to do here, if we're going to use a light and we're going to move it in close especially, we don't want the light to be too low because otherwise the light will come kind of sideways, which isn't going to look very natural. Well, I'm saying natural a lot. So we're going to move our light up a little bit.
Do these techniques apply to product photography? These techniques apply to product photography?
Do these techniques apply to product photography? Absolutely. But remember, the product, generally speaking, is smaller, unless it's like cars or something. So this, for instance, if you were shooting like a Lego, it's a product, right? Maybe not just a Lego, but like a Lego set, then this would be very large. What are those giant Legos that they give to like toddlers? You know what I'm talking about? They look like Legos, but they're not. They're like big. Okay. What are they called? Roadblocks? I'm not sure. Okay. This is bigger than her head. And when we have it in nice and close. So we're going to start here. We're going to see some shadow here. It's going to be darker than some of the other images because of the nature of the shadow on her face, but it will be soft and smooth. So we're going to get, this is how we can use, you know, shadow to help shape the face, right? if we look at this now, this is still soft. We can see the transitions here, right? But look at how dark it is. That's because of the fall off, right? So this is not a hard light. This is a soft light that's in close with fall off. This is also, God, who's that painter? I can never think of the name. He's Dutch, right? Right. So again, hard, right? Soft. Overused. Overused the painter. So, and here is a soft light with really fast fall off. Now, we can make the fall off less by moving the light back, right? Like, Daniel, why are you putting it so close? Just back it up. And we can do that. Back that light up, right? Wasn't that a song? All right, we back the light up. Again, we're using TTL, which, you know, in theory should give us the proper exposure every time. It's been pretty good so far. Okay, now we've got the light further back, okay, and look at our transition. It's got a little bit of a soft edge, but it is, you know, harder than this light, but we have more even distribution on the face, okay? So this is softer, this has got more coverage, right? This is hard up here. So here's our hard light, look at the difference there. You know, and this is a soft light giving us more coverage that's similar to that hard light. So if we want that, I know I did opposite sides, but if we want, yep. Fall off? Okay, so Fallout was a game. No, fall off. So fall off is basically what it means. Blah blah blah. Let's start over. Fall off is basically the act of the light ending, essentially, right? So if a light is bright here, it falls off into darkness, right? It's falling off. So how fast it falls off has to do with how close the light is to the subject, because that has to do with the inverse square law, you know, in the amount. So basically, if I'm going to back the light up, the fall off will be slower, but it'll still be there. So in order to get a soft light that has that even coverage, that has the slower fall off, you need to use a larger light source, right? If we took, let's say, a very, very large light and put it really, really close like this, it wouldn't look like this because it'd be too large. It would wrap around. So wrap around is the idea of the light going around the face, right? It's wrapping around. So you've got light on this side, it goes to the other side. That's wrap around versus fall off. They're kind of the same, but the opposite, if that makes sense. Right? So now, you know, now we've got something that is a little bit, kind of maybe a little bit gentler, we'll say, than this here, but still has that same kind of power to it, right? It still has that punchiness, it still shows the shape, and we can actually make this, you know, we can get this even closer to this by backing it up even more, which is what I'll do now. By the way, notice the slight color shift. Anything that you put your light through is going to affect the color. Typically, the more you diffuse something, the warmer it gets. That's not always the case, but just as a general rule. And I'm diffusing this a lot because it's inside the Schmira with double diffusion. I'm going to back this up, and I'm also going to raise it because geometry. I mean, well, I mean, the angle of, yeah, okay. I'm sure anybody watching this knows all about geometry, so I'm not going to bore you with high school geometry. Oh, uh-oh. Womp, womp. No, 8.4, okay. So, if you're using TTL and it does not give you the exposure that you want, cry, go online, complain to people. Oh, or you could just hit it to manual and try again. So I'm going to switch to manual. I'm just going to give myself some more juice. And what we're going to get now, right? Again, we're using these soft, I didn't get the exact angle because geometry. But you can see that we're getting, oh, you know what's happening here too, which is interesting, is we're getting bounce from the floor now, right? We're moving the light so far back that more light from the room is picking up and affecting our shot. So there's more to setting up your light than just where your light. You have to consider the space that you're in. We're in this white space. This light is coming in. It's gonna bounce off. The further away from her I put it, the more the walls and stuff will affect it because they're now getting closer. And if we look at this, that's 9 feet away, 7.5 feet away from her. This white reflector effectively is close to her because, relatively speaking, right? When I had the light only 6 inches from her, that was forever away. So all the things that you have going on will affect your shot. You can use something like this black card here that Seth made, that somebody made. It will help with that a little bit and give us a little more contrast. Right, now we've got darker darks because
Recommended strobe wattage for this size space.
recommended strobe size for this size space? Well, I think what you have to consider when you're thinking about, you mean power strobe size or box size? Are they talking about power? Yeah, power. I mean, you got to consider what you're using it for, right? I'm in a daylight studio, although we have everything blocked right now. If I didn't and I was using the daylight, I'd need more power, right? If I was shooting macro, I'd need more power. If I was shooting product where I had to be really deep depth of field, I'd need more power. So it really depends. I think that you can usually get away with about 500 watt seconds will be enough for most things. I mean, these are only 250 that I'm using right now, but if I could only have one light, strobe light, I'd probably get 500. It's a good round number. Okay. So you see how we're playing with this, right? We've got the light a bit harder now, and we have this negative fill, so now we're getting more shape. It's becoming more interesting, right? We can do the same thing here, but in reverse, by moving the light in closer. I like to jam it right in and then get it close. All right, we're back to that. I'm going to switch back to TTL. I'd been a manual member because after I went onto a forum and complained, I had to take a picture anyways. All right. All right, so we're back to here, right? We've got this real dramatic fall off. We've got this kind of soft light coming in. But let's say, oh, you know what? That's a little bit too much for me, Daniel. I'd like to see some light on the other side of your face. Plus, you haven't used the thing that sponsors this video. This video is sponsored by Brooklyn Reflectors. You can get these. Okay. All right. So now we've got what is effectively the same kind of coverage, right? Where it's wrapping the entire face with light, so we don't have that, the apparent fall off, but we have the beautiful softness of the close light, right? So we've got that versus, let's say, where we had the cover, I guess, right here. So instead of backing the light up to get the coverage, which then creates a harder light, which isn't as gentle on the face, what we can do is keep it in close, have a soft light, and then fill. Okay, so you've got options here. Like if this was like a thumbnail, right? That you see those like clickbaity thumbnails, they would be like, hold on. Pro photographer, amateur photographer, right? Tune in for my live stream Sunday nights after Lost. Okay, cool.
What year are you living in?
I don't know. That's not on the air anymore? You don't have Lost anymore? Okay, I don't know. I don't really watch TV.
Not on the air anymore 12 years ago?
Okay. All right, so there's something else we can do here, which is this is advanced. Since I can tell you guys are really getting all this and you're following along, we're going to go into an advanced move here. Whew. This is the kind of thing that only, Dave probably knows how to do it, but most people, they do not understand how to do this. we've got this light here. Let's say we don't have a Brooklyn reflector. We want to get some more wraparound. We're like, what are we going to do? Should I do it? All right, look at that. The softbox can go horizontal. It's weird. And this should actually, because now remember, more of this piece of the softbox is going to see the other side of her face more. So we should get a bit more wraparound with this. So this can help us if we don't want to use a reflector. It won't be exactly the same, but we should get a bit more wraparound, right? Now we've got a bit more light on that side of her face, you know, versus this, you know, versus that, right? So we've got options here. So many options for y'all, right? So this is, you know, pro photographer, right? This is like, it's kind of a little bit whatever. And then this is somewhere in the middle, right? This is like, oh, I don't know if I'm really ready for that hardcore pro stuff, but I got a sideways softbox. I mean, I didn't even know it could go that way. The words are all sideways. It's crazy. By the way, your camera can also go both ways. It's weird, but you can flip your camera both ways too. It's weird. I mean, I don't know if you guys know that, but all right. But only if you have the vertical grip. If you don't have the vertical grip, you can't do that. Okay, sorry. I'm just having one of those days. All right, so now let's experiment with, so obviously moving the light closer and further away is going to affect the hard softness. The other thing we can do is put something in between our light source and the subject to make it larger. Another way we can make our light larger is by bouncing it, right? That's a pretty common thing to do. So let's mess around with that a little bit. You're going to have the most control with some kind of a thing like a softbox, right? Because that's going to give you the exact dimensions. It's going to give you the control you want. Shooting through something gives you a decent amount of control as well. Bouncing is going to give you the least amount of control. It's kind of like just you doing it, right? So if we take our, let's use the same thing. I mean, believe it or not, you can actually bounce off of a diffuser. It's not the most efficient thing to do, but you know, it'll still work on some level. I believe we bounced off a white t-shirt or a white dress shirt last time. I don't know if yeah, that worked out really well. All right, so they can't all be winners, guys. They can't all be winners. All right, so it'd be better if I had a reflector here, but we're gonna go for it. All right, so this is, what's that? Okay, once again, I'm going to try to fill as much as possible. It's a little low, I think, but we're going to try it. I'll see you on the other side. Okay, sorry. All right. Okay. All right, not terrible. I knew exactly what it was going to look like. I had total confidence that was going to be good. Now we've got nice big soft light by bouncing it, right? Hey, so many options, right? We got a bounce, we've got shoot through, we've got moving the light closer to the subject. We can also bounce off of the Brooklyn reflector. Believe it or not, this Brooklyn reflector has two sides. I know. I mean, I guess it technically has 6 sides because it has, yeah, but 2 usable sides. This side is white. So if we take this and we go, okay. Nothing more professional to do as a photographer than this. That'll work, right? Yeah, there we go. Boom. I mean, you could go, wow, I should probably focus on things before I take a picture. All right, let me try that again. There we go. I think we got that. What's that? All right, there we go. As we progress through the shoot, what is going on in my focus here? Hold on, am I just not letting this thing? No, it's in focus there. Huh, okay, hold on. One more time. Daniel is off today. I think I'm shaking the camera before I can. Good. All right. There we go. Nope.
Are you getting the autofocus off on the screen? Are you hitting with your nose?
I think I'm hitting with my nose, yes. Let me, hold on, let me hit this.
You want to shut it off?
Yes, I do have a big nose. Hold on. This is not going to be properly exposed. I just wanted to show something. There we go. Okay. That's the best shot of the day. Listen. My best shots are out of focus. When you got a nose like mine, okay, there we go. All right, so anyway, we can see that this is bounced. Oh, look at how beautiful that is. So again, if we look at this compared to this, you know, we have almost a similar feel, right? In the sense that we've got that shape on the face, but here we've got this very gentle shadow coming across. And you know, because your catch lights, right? I never mentioned catch lights, so we're going to get into catch lights today. Because your catch lights are a reflection of your light source, using a larger light source like we are here is giving us kind of nicer catch lights, so it's bigger, right? If we look at, like, for instance, this, we have that like nice big glow in the eyes. People like that. There's somebody in the chat right now that doesn't like it that's going to say, catch lights, I like catch lights. It's going to add a little sparkle to the eyes. So again, that's another benefit of having a larger light source, is you're going to get those kind of like nicer catch lights. Cool. So let's do a combination. Right? We're doing it. We're going to start off with two softish lights, or two soft lights. We're going to bring this one here for a hair light or a separation light.
You're asking a lot about focal lengths.
Focal lengths, okay. So,
What are you like usually? What are you using now in the lens?
okay, so I'm using the 24 to 70 f4 kit lens. I generally shoot my portraits in the 50 to 70 millimeter range. Longer lenses can be nice if you want to back up, thus giving you more of a compressed look. However, I'm in the studio and I don't care about the background, and I'd rather be closer to my subject than further away, so I prefer this focal length. I sometimes will use an 85, also very nice. Nikon's got a beautiful 105. If Nikon wants to send me that, you have my address, thank you.
Send it to me first.
Yeah, you won't, exactly. You're not going to see any 105s anytime soon. They're like, yeah, we'll send that as soon as you send us a check for the money, for the cost. Plus shipping.
You have the autofocus touch on it. You're hitting it with your nose.
Yeah, I know. If you could turn it off. I don't know how to do it.
Yeah, I know you are.
I have no idea how to work the camera. Thank you. You are the best.
It's like an actual nose print where you
Yes, I
focus
know.
on her shirt. It's amazing.
My nose is the bane of my existence. I'm like Sarah now, except without the good words. All right, so, all right, this is kind of good. Kind of good. Kind of good. Yeah, if you want to, I can turn them on. So that's going to be our key light. It's luscious. And then our hair separation light. Oh yes, oh yes, so beautiful. So I'm going to drop it a smidge. So by using a softer light as a separation light, what we're going to end up getting is kind of a more even kind of spread down the separation. I know a lot of people will use like a grid sometimes. Again, 1974, that's what they use for that kind of stuff. But I like a larger light. A strip bank is also very nice. All right, I'm in TTL because I like to live dangerously. I mean, you know, let's see what happens. Oh, there we go. Right. Not terrible.
You can turn these over into on or off for exposed.
Oh, you want me to turn off the? I can kill the model.
What do you want to do?
You can leave the modeling lights on if that's enough light.
Let's shut the overheads.
Okay, thanks. So here we've got, I got a little bit of the frame in the shop, but yeah, whatever. Here we've got beautiful, creamy, soft light across the grill or the face. And then we've got this nice separation light. And because it's nice and diffused as a softbox, we're not losing any detail in the very important shoulders of her jacket. I mean, because anybody looking at a portrait is going to be very concerned about the shoulders of the jacket. I've got it coming from the one side. If you like a double, you could do that too, but I found it to be a little much. But I think what I will do, I'm also noticed too that I'm keeping it flat as opposed to tilting it down. I want it to be even. I'm gonna drop it a little more because I'm gonna see if I can get a little bit on her arm. And then what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna come back in. Oh, also I can see a little bit of this background here. So I'm gonna go, move that in a little closer. Get a little closer. Don't be shy. No? All right, got my 70. Oh, I'm gonna stop touching with my nose. Good. All right, there we go. Now we have this beautiful, luxurious hair coming down. Nice light coming across her face. It's very, you know, best friend, right? Cadence could be your best friend. But she's going, you know. If anybody's looking for somebody to play that role, she's the best friend. Yeah, she got the best friend. Yeah. No. Yeah, that's really nice. I don't think I could do better than that. That's probably the best shot I've ever taken in my life. I'm done. I will see you guys another time, maybe. I'm going to retire. But whenever you have it exactly where you want it, it's always best to add more. So let's actually bring in the reflector. Now, we often use the reflector when there's like heavy, heavy shadows, but we can also use it if we just want to fill in a smidge, like down here. So let's do a little. Ready? I know, that was impressive. Oh, here we go. Last one. Good. There we go. Little kick, a little separation, brings out the chin a little bit, and yeah, just when I thought I couldn't get any better. No?
Keep using my stuff till it looks good.
I'm just using all your stuff, of course. Now, because I'm a man that likes to live dangerously, and because that went way faster than I thought, let's make a shot using only hard light. You're gonna hate this, so let's. Yeah, you will hate this, but it's all right. It's my show. All right. Now let's try to make something with hard light. Let's see what we can do here that could be interesting. Now, I mean, we're gonna use hard-ish light. No, we're gonna use hard light with that. Luckily, Cadence has a very good geometry. So. Right. 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 So we're gonna go for like kind of a set. We're gonna go for, all right, a nice kind of. I'm gonna blind you first. Okay. If we get the overheads back on, please. Thank you. Yeah. I don't want to blind her too much. I mean, I don't want to blind her a little bit, but too much is right. All right. We're gonna take this light and we're gonna create basically a. Spotlight? Like a spotlight coming down, like a hard blah. Yeah. Let's start there. Let's just see. Okay. I'm going to put a sandbag on here because, you know, that's the safety precautions that we like to take. Because remember, if you're going to drop a light on somebody, it needs to be a soft light. And I just said we're using hard light. Okay.
You just made $20 more for your day rate.
That's right. That is the truth. More equipment equals more money. Perfect. Okay. All right. So the lower we make the light in front, the higher the shadow under her chin will go, right? Because we're going to have a shadow under her chin. However, However, so if we lower this light and point it more at her, then the shadow under her chin will raise up. However, we'll also be more likely to get a shadow in the background. So we got to kind of figure out where we want it to be. I'm going to drop it a smidge. Oh, by the way, because somebody's going to ask, this thing that's holding the light is called a magic finger by Matthews. All right. So, no. Yeah, they are hard to get. There's one guy in California that makes them. He's sitting there in a shed somewhere making those things. His name is Magic. All right. All right, so I'm going to just shoot with this hard light on TTL, singular light. So look right at me like, oh, yeah. By the way, you always have to go vertical when you're shooting with a hard light. Okay, not terrible. Not terrible. All right, not bad, not bad. We're doing all right. I mean, we can, if we want, this is cheating a little bit, use a reflector under the chin. I'm not going to do this, but we can just so people can see it, because I'm sure somebody's going, use a reflector.
Don't be afraid of the shadows.
Don't be afraid.
Don't be afraid of the shadows.
But we can fill in if we like that, right? So she likes that. So Cadence likes that, so we like it. All right. All right, that's pretty good. That is not terrible. So now let's add some kind of a separation light, again, using a hard light. Now, we could do this one of two ways. We could do a million different, well, I don't know, a million. We could do it many ways. We could just do a hair light like we've been doing, but you've already seen that. And I know you kids have short, short attention spans. So instead of putting a light to separate her hair, let's light the background. In here I have the, which might seem overly complicated when you're looking at it, but works really well, Profoto magnet doodad kit. These are grids. Can they see that camera? This is camera works, right? All right, those are grids. Let's go 30 degrees. 30 degrees to the starboard. 30. So 30 is the widest because I want to get a circle of light. All right, but not a perfect circle because for that I would use a snoot. And I do not use snoots. I don't have a problem with snoots. I'm just not a snoot user. I know that some people like snoots. When offered a snoot, I refused. I declined the snoot. I'm not a snooter.
Not snooty.
I'm not snooty. That's right. A snoot is not a grid. A snoot will make a circle of light generally, a small circle of light. A grid feathers the light into the center or from the center out. So a grid is different.
For the zillionth time, why does Daniel always cut off the top of the model's head? Oh man.
Because it looks better that way.
Oh man. But I left the top of her head was in the beginning of this stuff.
Oh man.
I started that way.
Your biggest complaint.
Well,
How dare you shoot modern? How dare you?
listen.
That 1984 textbook told me you have 2 fingers of room above the head.
2 fingers.
Everything over this is just bare skull.
Oh, there we go. That's almost the top of her head. Okay, that's not terrible. Let me get a better composition. And I'm gonna, okay, so I left both lights on in TTL, and when you do that, they will be affected by each other. So I think the first light adjusted slightly in power. So I'm gonna go back and do this correctly now. So this one up front is the B light. We were just talking about that, I was joking. All right, I'm gonna turn off the light in the back, and I'm just gonna shoot with the front light, and we're gonna establish a proper exposure. Okay. Okay, that looks good, done. Now I'm gonna turn B off, turn A on. So now it's only gonna establish an exposure for the backlight. So this should be one of those like silhouettes, as they call them. There we go. Now in post, we'll just stick them, no. All right, so I'm gonna switch to manual.
Witness protection.
Yeah, witness protection. I'm gonna turn these both lights on. Make sure I chop off as much of the top of her head as possible. And there we go. All right, that's good.
That's perfect.
That is perfecto. Now, I think now that I see them together, I'm gonna take the backlight. I was gonna dial it down, but instead of doing that, because I know you guys love the background to be blue, I'm gonna make the background orange. I would do purple, but all I have is warming gels for some reason. Oh, these magnets are so, oh, okay. All right.
Did you say those magnets are strong?
There's very strong magnets.
I'm not even sure they're magnets. I think they're just pressed together.
No, they're magnets.
Oh, the new one.
I have the new one. I have the new system. It has magnets.
It has this
I
new
think
thing
there's
called-
magnets, Daniel.
I'm pretty sure those aren't magnets.
There wasn't magnets in them.
No, the old ones don't have magnets.
It's
That's.
new phototechnology
Yeah.
called magnets.
There we go. They're using the magnet technology. All right.
There you go. A fancy magnet and a piece of foam.
All right. Here we go. Because I spent all my money on profile lights, I could not afford any soft boxes, so we're going hard light. Okay, here we go. Boom. Oop, one more time. There we go. All right, so we've got hard light shaping the face, right? Creating some drama. And we've got hard light hitting the background, giving us a flare. Now, just to demonstrate what I said, if I were to drop this light down, I'm gonna turn the model light on for a second. If I drop this down, the shadow under her chin will in fact raise slightly. Also, if I move it back, it'll do that as well. Again, geometry. Okay, I moved it down, so I'm just going to adjust my power. Okay, I'm going to turn it off again. Thank you. Do you want me to leave it on? I know you just turned the overheads off. You can turn it back on.
Is the light on, you think?
Okay. Well, I'll leave them on if you want. I mean, I got plenty of modeling light. All right. I totally just adjusted that in manual. Let's see. Okay, clearly my manual adjustment was not correct. Let me look at that for a second. So if you did this, what you could do is come over here to your exposure slider and go, how much did Daniel screw up? Ah. And you just slide this over until it looks right to you, which is about right there. So about one stop. All right, so I brought it down 2 stops, but apparently I only need to bring it down 1. So I'm going to bring this up to 3.2. That should be about right. We'll do a test. Good. There it is. All right, now we've got less shadow. So it kind of comes down to what you like, right? This one's a little bit punchier because of the angle of the light, but we've got a little more of that kind of loop shadow under her nose and stuff. Here we've got a little bit more butterfly. So if you like loop or if you like butterfly, I did both for you guys because that's how much I like you. Right? It comes down to how low you make the light. If you make it too low, then you have garbage. So, I mean, it kind of depends on what you're doing. If you want garbage, then that's fine. We're not going to do garbage. Questions, thoughts, concerns? How we doing?
You're not going to do the Daniel shot from the rear?
I was going to do that, but I wanted to get any questions first.
Okay.
I can't do a demo without doing the shot with the light behind the model because that's where I like to do it.
Apparently you can't do shutter drag either, so
I can't do shutter drag either. That is the truth. I am terrible at shutter drag. All right, but I know my limitations. All right, so let's do something that's now. Let's go back to our little softbox and do like a. All right, we already know what we're going to do because I just said it. I'm not surprising anybody. It's reached that point in the shoot where I'm going to put the light behind because I like to do it that way. Yeah. Oh, okay. That was less than dramatic, I think.
dude, I got one out of 10. He's at home. That is awesome.
All right, so this is going to be what they call short lighting. It's like a short order cook. Works in a diner, right?
You do broad lighting, long shooters, big girls. It's all like
Short. All right. Let's play with some shadows. So again, this is going to be a soft-ish light. And remember, I used it both close and far from cadence because, you know, that's the kind of things I do. We're going to split the difference and do it kind of medium-ish back here. And, oh. Apparently, you're supposed to tighten things down before you walk away. And we're going to do what is basically short lighting, which means we're going to put the light essentially from the back. And we're going to do like kind of a profile-y shot. Whew. We're not sure if we can pull this off or not, but once again, I'm using B as my key light. I guess that's just the way I am now. All right, I'm going to switch to TTL, which does not generally like it when the light's from the back, but you know. All right, we're going to look here. Now move your face like that. There we go. A little less right there. Okay. Good, good, good. Let's see what we get. All right, right. So now we've got some drama. Okay, that's kind of cool. It's dramatic, but because the light's coming from the back and TTL's like, what are you doing, man? What are you doing? This is not how I'm supposed to do it. We're gonna have to adjust. I could use exposure compensation, but instead I'm just gonna switch to manual because that's how I like to roll. Because I am in Capture One where I can quickly grab this and drag it down to where I think the exposure is correct, which is about right there. Again, you don't want this part of her face in the back to be like there, what you might do if you were shooting with a flatter light, because that won't look right, right? It'll look underexposed. So we actually, when the light's coming from the back like that, we really want it to be slightly hot. So about right there is where I would put it. We're not blowing out. This is -1, is that what that says? Yeah, so it says -1. Wow, that was exactly -1. I've never been exactly -1 before.
Oh, yeah.
All right, I'm gonna drop it to stop. Okay, and let's see what we get here. Okay, there we go. Now we get the exposure we like. Kind of moody, little moody. Oh, I mean, the obvious thing to do, if I was left-handed, I do this every time. Why do I do this every time? All right. The obvious thing to do is, yeah, there we go. Right. Little fill, little fill. I should probably put the light on the other side next time, but I will never remember to do that.
Rotate the box and do the bounce.
Oh, rotate the box and do the bounce. That's a good idea.
Magic.
It's amazing. All right. All right, I'm just going to rotate the box without doing the bounce first.
I am. I'm blind.
They can see the edge of your contacts in the shot.
Good. All right. Nice. So what this is going to do, by the way, guys, is, 'cause I just want to show that rotating the box didn't do much. This is basically, the reason why we're rotating is we're getting more light, right? More light is wrapping around to hit the fill light on the side here. And then we're getting a nice fill. Okay, that looks pretty good. However, I think what I want to do here, just to be a little different, because you know I like to be different. My mom says I'm different, and that's okay. I'm gonna light the background. I know what you're saying. You're saying, Daniel, you don't usually light the background when you do this. And I'm like, you know what? It's 2021. We got to mix things up here. We'll turn this light on. I'm gonna try. I mean, yeah, there we go. There we go, focusing. Good. All right. Ooh, okay, interesting. Interesting. That's like, it's a little too bright. But again, instead of adjusting the exposure,
Hey, it's magnets.
I'm just gonna put all the magnetic warmth that I have on this thing. Because remember, when you put gels, oops, okay, when you put gels on your light, they reduce the amount of power, right? So I'm gonna warm it up and knock the power down. Because I'm not in TTL anymore, so it won't compensate. Oops. There it is. Okay, now it's moody. I feel like I want a reflector now as well, right? Just a little bit. Now.
You want to break it? He
Oh.
wants to break it.
You know what I'm gonna do?
Oh, you're going to get the bronze one.
Oh, yes, I am.
I haven't used this thing.
So,
Twice.
I don't know if you missed my live stream where I painted these.
Did you put in a knuckle?
I did not put it. Did I? I think no.
That's
No, I didn't. I don't think. Did I put in a knuckle, guys? Let me know in the comments below. All right, Okay. Okay. All right, hold on. I can do this. This is not my first rodeo. I got this. Okay, here we go. Oh, nice. Oh, nice. Oh, nice. Little warm bounce. Little Joe McNally style warm bounce with Seth's thing. Since it's already crushed, I guess you don't mind if I put it.
3 generations in one. All right, don't. Just,
No, I'm going to lay it
yeah,
on.
I know you're gonna just.
I'm not.
Don't murder my friend. You're not the one spray painting.
I'm not. If they saw the live stream where I spray painted it, I definitely did not spray paint it. Thank you, Seth.
You want the copper?
Oh yeah, copper. These are available. They're $699 each. 4 AZ payments of $232.
You do what you want to do?
I'm gonna bounce it in on the side like I just did there, but closer. And I think.
Trying so hard not to break them, but we're gonna do it anyway.
Yeah, it happens. Okay, I'm just gonna move this out slightly. All right, guys, this is the shot. This is what you've been waiting for.
I can hear it.
Yeah, all year. Oh, Dave's running through.
Ducks.
It's like a bunch of roadies running around.
You're not gonna get an acorn on it.
No?
The knuckling.
Oh no.
No.
It's unfortunate.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Maybe a little closer? I think
You
that's
can
cool.
move it.
What? Thanks.
I'm gonna break my reflector.
I got no respect. There we go. Good. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. This is nice. I should probably focus on the back eye though.
Actually, I think you got it.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. All right, I'm gonna focus.
Too much?
No, I think you're good. I'm just gonna. Okay, so I've been using the eyeball focus. I'm gonna switch it off because it's trying to focus on her front eye.
You can just press left and it'll go to our back.
Really?
When you see it, it shows an arrow left or right. Just hit left and it'll go to another eye. Watch.
Oh man!
See? Yeah, Nikon does that.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so instead of you moving a
Okay.
flank around, you're just going between left and right eyes.
Oh, that's what that means. Thank you, Seth. So if you guys didn't know that,
Nikon does it.
like I don't know, on a Nikon, so the eyeball thing pops up with a little square with a little arrow. I usually just ignore the arrow because why? I mean, what's the arrow there for? Apparently, if you press left or right, it'll change eyeballs. Look at that, so smart. I don't know if other systems do that or not. They might.
No.
But there you go. Right, now we're able to focus on the correct eyeball. The right amount of the top of her head is cut off. We've got some shadow there. It's good. It's warm. It's deliciously warm, shall we say. So here's the thing. We're actually bouncing this light, right? But the reason why I'm using a warm reflector is because your eye wants that side of her face to feel warm because the light behind her is warm. So you want to think about that. If this reflector was blue or something, it wouldn't make any sense because it'd be like, why is it blue on the side where it's warm? And that wouldn't make any sense. So that's why I did that if you're curious as to why I made this warm. Oh, green.
You want
Pink.
You can make it whatever color you want.
Wow. Okay. I'm not opposed to making it pink.
There's a red one in here.
Red. I actually did a video where I used a red
Yeah,
reflector.
I know you did. You got a dent in it. Yeah.
All right, is this chroma key? Is it chroma key? Green?
It's fluorescent graffiti paint.
Oh.
So it's already filthy. Look at this.
Oh, it's so dirty. That is dirty. Now I'm touching it. Oh, it's freaking my eyes out. It's freaking, man. All right. Well, I don't want to crush this one, so I'm just gonna. Yeah, Dave will hold it for me.
You doing paint?
Thanks, Dave. All right, we're gonna do pink. I don't know how reflective the pink is,
I'm going to hold the reflector on this thing.
but we're gonna give it a shot. Good, good, good. Oh, very cool. Very, very cool.
Yeah, you gotta get me.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's not super pink, but it's actually warmer than the other. It has a warmer feel than the other one because it just kind of picks up.
Well, it's a softer reflection.
Yeah.
It's not as specular.
Yeah, the less specularity really works. So there you go. Reflectors.
Who knew?
Is that what this was supposed to be about? No, hard versus soft. Right, so any questions about hard and soft light while we consume coffee? What do you think? Pretty good? Not bad, right? Okay, so in short, hard light is going to have abrupt shadow transition, right? Soft light is going to have gentle shadow transition. But there's no just like hard, soft. There's all this room in the middle where you're going to have space to kind of play. And which one you use really comes down to the style that you want to make. It doesn't matter. A lot of times people say like, well, what's the right kind of light for this person? Well, it depends on the feel of the shot, right? We made many different shots with many different light sources or light types with cadence, and they were all kind of interesting for different reasons, right? Including the very first one that was just kind of hard light bang, right? So it really depends on what you're doing. Remember too, though, to keep separated in your mind the idea of coverage, right? Like things like fall off and that kind of thing, versus hard soft, like transition, right? Because a hard light can cover a big area. That doesn't mean it's soft because it's all bright, right? Bright doesn't mean soft. Bright means bright, right? It has nothing to do with exposure.
Thoughts on Fresnel modifier?
Fresnels. So Fresnels are great because, so if people don't know, Fresnels are, or Fresnels. I knew a guy named Bob Fresnel. Anyways, Fresnels are basically a lens type. Concentric circles is the best way to say it, right? It's got concentric circles. And what they do is they allow you to have a more even distribution of light. So typically when you are, without diffusing it. So like if you took a typical reflector, let's say like a reflector head, and you were to shoot light at a wall, it wouldn't be completely even. It would usually be kind of a hot spot and then it would feather out. Some companies kind of overcome that by putting a piece of diffusive glass in front of the light, which is like what the Profoto light has. But a Fresnel allows the light to still be punchy and even. So Fresnels are great if you want to hit somebody with hard light and you want it to feel very even, you know, and you want it to be specular. So Fresnels are great. They're typically on the more expensive side unless you're getting them for hot lights. So yeah, Fresnels are awesome. Other questions, thoughts, concerns, anecdotes, limericks? No, nothing. If anybody has a limerick, go ahead and put it in the comments.
Try to tell them to hit like this time.
Yeah, if you guys like these videos, please hit like on them. It helps the algorithm. We're a growing channel.
We're a young go-getter.
We're a young go-getters. No, seriously, because if you want to continue to see these, please do that if you can. We will be back next week, actually. I forget what this thing is, but next week we're doing 2 in a row because of Daniel's quiz. I think it's posing next week. I think we're doing a posing video. I don't usually do posing, so that'll be fun because you'll see what I have to say about that. And it won't be, yeah, okay. It'll be a whole different thing. So tune in for that because there'll be a lot of shade being thrown. So,
It's true.
there's going to be a lot of shade, sorry.
And no PDF on sale, don't worry.
There won't be any PDFs. Yeah, so like, subscribe, do all the good stuff. Cadence is Cadence Frank, if you guys don't know. No, you cannot have her black and white preset.
It's a great color.
Color grade. Sorry, it's not a preset. Yeah, but if you have any other questions or comments that you haven't thought of right now, put them below. I will check back on the video in a couple days to see what they are. And Daniel Norton Photographer, follow me. Seth is last ex-witness, Dave Maruska. And have a wonderful night. If it's night where you're at. Or have a wonderful day, depending on the